Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
Innovative Thinkers episode number 441, Innovative Thinker. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Unlock your business growth with a seasoned entrepreneur and expert in marketing and sales. Welcome, Solomon Thimothy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frances. Appreciate you having me here.
You're welcome. I've given our audience such a brief bio, and you have an extensive bio and resume. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you want them to know about you and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the easiest way to do is going from where we are to backwards. Basically, I'm an entrepreneur that's helping other entrepreneurs grow and scale their business. And like you said, it's sales and marketing. But the way that I learned all of this is by being a marketing agency to help other folks build their business. So when we were doing agency work, we realized that lead generation is only half the battle. You know, people don't have leads. That's great. Like, we can help them get leads. But then if you don't close the leads we get you, that's how we learn sales. We had to learn because we had to serve the clients. But even going back is that I started my business literally in my early 20s. And I was a creative kid, and I was building websites and things like that. And so there's a 20-year summary of what got me started. And that was just marketing. That's all I knew. I could build websites all day and get paid, and I did very well. But that was only half the thing that, again, led us to learning that it's sales and marketing that entrepreneurs need to master, or work with somebody who's mastered it to help them get to where they're trying to go.
We hear sales and marketing, lead generation, and with the explosion of the internet and YouTube and all of this amazing knowledge that we have, technology at our fingertips, a lot of people say they can do it. How do you vet someone to know that they can actually not only do the sales, do the marketing, help you generate leads, and get the money, the cash flow that you need to actually 10x your business?
I'd love that. Yeah. So I think the first piece that I would look for in a person is coachability. And the reason I say that is they may be the expert, but can they understand the niche that you're serving? Because a lot of times when they don't, they could be really smart, but they don't understand, you're not going to have a great working relationship. Even though you don't need to coach them of how to do their job, you get to coach them of what you're looking for from your business perspective. What kind of customers you're looking for? And they have to understand that. But beyond that, what we look for, and when I'm coaching entrepreneurs, what we typically tell them is that, like you said, because of the fact that the internet exploded, everything is driven by data, right? Like everything, page views, click-throughs, everything is data driven. And I need a person. Back in the day, it was all about the headline that we wrote in the Mad Men days. Oh, wow. Well, that sold 1 million Colgate toothpaste. But today, they want to know what's the age and the demographic of the person who's buying the Colgate, not so much what the headline says, right? Or they want to know which headline got the most click-through rate. So I need folks, whether it's on site, like an employee, a contractor, or a vendor, doesn't matter which one, I need them to be extremely data-driven. And this doesn't mean that there's no creativity attached to it. This is just how I became, right? Who I am today is because I was that creative guy, but I realized that I didn't have any data to substantiate my value for my clients. And I was like, hey, I did a beautiful website for you. See you later. And they're like, I didn't make any money. Exactly what you're saying. And so then I said, what do you mean? Isn't this beautiful? And they're like, I didn't get any leads. Then I started to get, oh crap, I got to learn how to generate leads off of this thing, or else I missed the point. And so I had to become a Google Analytics pro. And does that make sense? Google Ads professional. And then we realized that, well, even if we generated the leads, there's a huge bottleneck on the client side. What do they do with those leads? So again, data-driven would be probably the first thing that I would look for. Even though they might say that data-driven, every resume would say that, but I would ask questions that would help me understand how do they think about the problems. I don't want them to solve it. How do you think about the problems? What questions are you asking? Are those the type of questions somebody should be asking to get to the solution?
So that's a great question. What problem are you solving, Solomon?
Yeah, so we ultimately, I think the best way to put it is we help growth-oriented entrepreneurs, right, build systems, which we can talk about all day, that basically on autopilot can generate the leads that they're looking for, and it would help them close because their salespeople will know what to do with those leads, whether it's manually or some automation, right? They'll get emails sent to the prospect. They'll book on the calendar by automation. All of that can be automated to some degree. So it's both sales and marketing, but we're building the systems that drive that growth. It's basically, how do you put your business on a predictable growth? Once these systems are in place, it's so much easier. And the only way to do that, Dr. Francis, is if you go back and kind of look at the numbers, right? What numbers do I need to hit? How can I build a system if you have no measurement in place? Right? If you're building a machine, there's so much accuracy into the nuts and the bolts and how the speed and right, like the material. And we have manufacturing clients. They'll tell you that only engineers can even decide what kind of things go together. So we have to sort of become engineers that are data driven to put the systems in place. And then the entrepreneur can take a break. They're not in the driver's seat as much because there are some systems that are driving the growth.
Who is your ideal client?
Yeah, so for us, it's mostly businesses that are not having those systems that we just talked about that drives growth, that's lead generation every day, or they're not happy with the system that they built. In other words, let's think pre-AI, right? Like pre-AI was very simple, but now things can be more complex because there's more automation. Let's put it this way, Dr. Francis, if we don't use AI, for instance, to make our marketing and sales better, the ones that use AI are just going to beat you. Would you agree? Because they're going to be doing faster, cheaper, more efficient, more quicker. They're going to be putting out their stuff faster, more personalized marketing. And we're over here with our, you know what I mean? 1987 Colgate headline that made us a lot of money, but things have changed. So those are the kind of clients that we would work with.
And Solomon, speaking of AI, artificial intelligence, how are you using AI in your business?
So we use AI. Number one, any kind of audio content that we create, there's AI in audio for us. I'm speaking specifically for marketing. We use AI in video, right? We use AI in graphic design. We use AI in obviously content creation. We use AI in getting the reports to our clients because AI can spit out better insights than humans can at this moment. That's basically marketing and analytics. On the sales side, AI can tell us which leads are more likely to convert because they have a lot more insights. AI is personalizing our outreaches because it knows, Dr. Francis, where you're from, Formula One, right? What was your last tweet? They know everything. AI helps us write the follow-up emails because that's sales now. It's a salesperson doing it, not a marketing person doing it. There hasn't been anything that we're doing today that's not touched by AI. And let's go take it one step further. When we run ads for our clients, AI is doing all the work. Facebook is kind of outsourced to AI and Google's outsourced to AI, right? Who sees the ad? Who's the audience? How much to pay for, these conversions? It's completely driven by AI.
There are so many brands and businesses, Solomon, that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many brands that come to mind, but I would probably use like an unusual example. You probably remember Dollar Shave Club, long time ago. It was just a subscription base. So they were already disruptive. We were buying, our racers and whatever from Walmart, whatever, Target. And he's like, no, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to make it $10 and I'm going to send it to you in your house. Those are the kind of brands, in my opinion, because like I said, they changed the way people are thinking. They didn't just say, let's put a new paint on it, right? It's not a new packaging, but you're still going to go to Walmart. Does that make sense? Well, we're going to have we're going to have LED lights light up when you pick up the package. That is like just making something look a little bit better, which is kind of how cars have happened all these years, right? Like there's another coat of paint, slightly different brake lights, but it's the same exact thing. The engine's not touched for a decade. So what Dollar Shave Club did is like they changed up the game. They're like, well, we're going to make more innovative products. We don't have a great brand, but we're going to have a lot of fun with our marketing to build a brand, to build a different way of talking to men. We're going to talk to men like the way men want to be talked to. You know what I mean? Like if the razors can talk, this is what it's going to say. And they sort of took that branding and they just went to town. And a couple of years later, they got acquired for $1 billion while we have Gillette sitting on, right? Like shelves for every store in America, premium shelf space. Why did a small brand with zero shelf space, they've never entered Target, right? They've never been in, any of these stores. How did they do that? Exactly what you and I can do. It's one thing. It's the internet, right? It's how we knew even there was a brand. They ran ads on YouTube. They did everything to get their brand out. And it's a complete different, brand new niche, if you ask me, because no one's ever doing that before. They acquired tons and tons of customers, so much that they were able to get bought out by the same guys that are sitting on the shelves. That's an exciting brand for me to talk about, because that's what you and I should aspire to be. Just another example would be like how I said the cars were the same for practically 5 decades. And now Tesla, giving you an example, didn't build an exact replica of what Toyota did for how many ever years. They're just like, we're going to change up the game. And I'm not surprised that there's selling 250,000 cars or 400,000 cars a quarter, because they didn't just put another painted coat on it, or another coat of paint on it, right? Like, does that make sense? They was like, we're going to rebuild this from the ground up. When you start doing things like that in our industries, it doesn't matter what industry we're serving. We could be in the cleaning business, but we can go, how do we change up this industry so that we can get a lot more word of mouth, a lot of PR, and our marketing gets easier, our customer acquisition gets easier, and we can start doing things because we're just not going to do the same thing and just call it something different. We're going to truly change what we do and how we come to work, right? How we serve our clients. Those are some examples of brands, Dr. Francis. There's a lot more, but.
And I love that example. Solomon, tell me your why. Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, I'd go back to way back when I was like a creative graphic design person. I was fed up with people's trucks and what the colors of that versus the business cards that they would give out. I'm like, there's not even a blue on there's nothing is matching. It's like, my why is that business owner who just does not know that this is what they need to do to market and brand themselves. And how we show up for our customers, and this is something we're doing here in our office, how we show up for our customers is how they perceive us, right? Like, and if we show up with a crappy business card, and what we can argue that our business cards are basically non-existent, but if we show up with a crappy outfits, right? If you're a uniform plumbing company, if you show up with an iPad, now perception is reality. They're like, this company is well put together. And so I was always that guy that wanted to help them build a better website. At the time, there were nobody building no fancy websites. And that matches their business card, the truck, everything. So if they bought a billboard, there's continuity in their marketing. And that person who's just unaware that this is how things happen, I'm out there trying to fight for that person. Does that make sense? That small business owner who's putting food in their employees' plate and their family, all of that, they just don't know what they don't know. But they're really good at what it is that they do. They're really good at making burritos or whatever it is, right? Like, you and I know that's how our world runs. It's those individuals that are cleaning somebody's duct right now, or right? Like, that's the business. And if they don't know, they're basically limiting themselves from achieving what they're supposed to achieve in life, just because they don't know. And so I create a lot of content, I create a lot of resources, I put out as much as I can, be on podcasts like this, so I can serve those people that I may never meet. And it's a fact, we may never meet, may never come across, but I want them to be empowered so that they can go hire somebody or invest in themselves, get a designer, developer, whoever, to build the kind of business that we as consumers want. Do you agree? Like, we expect certain things now. So I was giving you an example. What we're doing in the office is that we built a lot of studios and content creation mechanisms here in our office for ourselves. But then I realized there's so many coaches and consultants, like entrepreneurs like you, who wish they had this kind of facility, state-of-the-art studio and the team and everything, but they're not going to because they don't have the space, or they don't have the location, they don't have the office or the know-how, right? The team. I said, why don't we open it up for those people so that when you create content for your short form, for your long form, you're showing up for your people in a certain way that they expect us to show up with. Do you see what I'm saying? An extra light or extra whatever we do, it goes a long way for our customers. They like that. They want that. They expect that. In the world of TikTok, they'll swipe up if they don't like the content quality. Doesn't matter how much gold you're dropping, they're just like, it's a low quality video. Next. But if we did it with high quality or higher quality, they'll pay attention and our messages get heard. And what else are we supposed to do other than get our messages heard by the people that we're serving or called to serve, right? And so this is some kind of like a real life example of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Maybe it was a long answer, but you get it. It's driven by passion.
What is your zone of genius?
I think it was kind of figuring out. And by the way, the first half of my career was just marketing. I didn't do anything to do with sales. I didn't know any of that. We had salespeople, and I thought that's what they did. There's this thing called sales, and they did it. I'm just going to focus on doing the work, and as long as we do great work, people just keep paying us, right? Like that's the world. Like people do not put attention to certain things, and I paid a lot of coaches and consultants over the years. So none of this stuff is just me, by the way. This is not me. This is all the people that have gone ahead before me, wrote books, and I bought their programs, invested tons and tons to this day. And they coach me and say, well, do you have professional sales training? Do you have like a sales process? I'm like, what? I have salespeople. Like that's what they do, right? I don't want anything to do with it. I don't enjoy it. And then I sat on one of their sales training methodologies. And we're like, oh my gosh, so like there's just so much here. And then I put every employee, if they were customer facing, I put them in the sales training because I'm like, if you're talking to customer, I want you to talk to the same way my salespeople talk to. All right. They're like, why am I here? It's a sales training. But the fact of the matter is, that's how I got into it. We built our own sales process, obviously, and I coach and train people every single day. But marrying the two, like you said in the beginning of the podcast, is where true growth happens. We can be really good at sales, right, Dr. Francis? But we're bad at marketing and getting leads. Guess what? You're not going to close anything. We're not, because we don't have anybody to talk to. Of course, you can sit there, pick up the phone and start dialing, but a really good salesperson should not be prospecting. They should be just doing calls like you, right? Like just going and next, see what happens to your numbers. But in the same manner, if you're really good marketing, like Dollar Shave Club, and then their fulfillment was really bad, or they didn't know how to sell, they didn't get the product out there, that's also equally bad. Their business will not grow. Right. It has to both work. Right? Both systems have to work. And there's opportunity for improvement in all areas. Every business out there needs it. They need some tweaks. They need some business optimization because they have big goals, 10 million and 20 million. And then you look at the numbers, you're like, yeah, we're not going to hit no 10 million with this system. This car will not get us there, right? Like, think about it. Kind of like, what we're talking about. We need better systems that's going to get us the type of results that we need that are predictable and measurable. And then we work on optimizing the way we talk to the customer or the price or the service, so on.
And what is something we as small businesses, emerging businesses in general, that we don't know about sales and marketing that we should know?
Yeah. Love it. I don't know how, I've been giving you some super long answers. I'm going to make it short. In our marketing, it's cutting through the noise. It's very noisy out there. It's only going to get more noisier because at this moment, AI is creating the content, and with unlimited amount of content, what do you think is going to happen to people's feeds? There's going to be one video of real person and 10 videos of AI. Do you agree? YouTube made a little checkbox. If this video has been created by AI, you have to check a checkbox. TikTok did that weeks ago. If this video is made by AI, you have to give it some sort of like a prompt, like, oh, this is an AI video, so they can decide what to do with that content, because they need to know how people are dealing with AI content versus non-content. So our world is 10x noisier. So we got to cut through the noise. Do you agree? So it's that part. On the sales side, the traditional sales has always been, we show up and our job is to just straight up sell, get right to features and products, features and benefits, right to why we're different, right to why we're the best. Does that like ring any bell? Like the vacuum cleaners, like, let me show you why we're better. Well, the customer has to discover that. We can't talk all day to convince somebody else because we'll never do a good job convincing anybody to do anything, because you and I make decision emotionally. You're right. So my job is to help them discover my product is better. And when you shift from a perspective of, I'm hired to be a sales guy, I'm a quota carrying salesperson, I got to make 100 calls, and I'm going to go tell everybody that we're the best, and you come home, you didn't sell anything, because guess what we were doing? We were trying to convince them, change their mind thing. It doesn't work, because we will do what we want to do, right? Like, you'll buy Starbucks because you feel like buying Starbucks. That's an emotional decision. And we'll buy something else from somewhere else because we feel like buying that. Why? Because we discovered firsthand what we wanted to do, right? Starbucks didn't do anything. They're just there. In the same manner, if we help other people discover for themselves what they should be doing, they will buy your product. Do you agree? Because that's them making the decision. You are not selling. You're not selling anything. And I say that on a call. I'm not here to sell you anything. They're like, whoa, you're calling me. Well, I'm sure you're trying to sell me. I said, not at all. Don't get, and they don't believe me because that's what they hear from every other person, or they're thinking everybody who calls is trying to sell them something. We need to not be that, because the more we can try to not be like a salesperson, sound like a salesperson, talk like a salesperson, we will sell more.
Solomon, give us a behind the scenes experience. Someone connects with your company and they want to do business with your company.
I think for me personally, for what we're doing today, they have to apply, right? Like we just can't, grab 15-minute call and just talk to everybody, because we have limited resources, as we all do, and that's time. And so we have them fill out an application. So I'm giving you behind the scenes. So we review that application because we want to know where they're being honest. Because again, going back to that coachability, can I help this person? And if they're completely like just making up stuff just to fill out the application, we're probably not going to be a good fit to help them, because they think they already know what they need to do. Why don't you just go do it? Right? Do you agree? But if they say, hey, I'm struggling and this is the area I need help, and I think you guys could help me, we would take that into consideration. Say, this person being honest, genuine, let's schedule a call with that person and further discuss, what are they looking for? Can we even help? So again, going back to the helping mentality, we're only going to work with them if we truly believe that we can make a substantial difference in their business, positive ROI, whatever amount that you want to attribute to. And that allows us to have great relationships that are lifelong, not 1 month or 2 months or 6 months or something like that. That way we are constantly going to be adding value to their business. The other way around, if we see those applications, I messaged our team in Slack last night, I'm like, this person just posting anything. And even if they book a call, we cancel the meeting, because I want my team to be investing in time with those entrepreneurs that deserve our time. Does that make sense? And we can make a difference. Even if we didn't work together, that 15 minutes, they're going to walk away with more value on what they should do tomorrow, so that there wasn't a sales call. We're like, hey, maybe you should work on these things before we ever, maybe engage in something. That's literally what goes on. And I don't put any pressure on how much they need to close, because I want the right fit. Does that make sense? Because they should not be under pressure to close people that should not have been closed in the first place. Problem starts when you have these kinds of situations, and now you have to sell them or serve them and hire people that are unhappy. All this stuff happened because guess what? We're just trying to do the traditional method. But we do look at our numbers, but it's never that salesperson's job to force close somebody because, it's the last day of the month and right? That is not the right kind of energy you should be giving to your people, because he or she will do what? What do you think they will do? Their behavior is going to be dictated by the fact that my boss is going to be mad if I don't bring the sales. So I got to say anything and everything, bash my competitors. Do you see what I'm saying? Behavior is just going to be terrible. And in the marketplace, that's the perception we're leaving for our company, because this is how the salespeople act. So clearly, some people say, I want nothing to do with that company.
Right.
It's all because of the way that we're running these organizations. And I want to be like, that company was different. I wonder why. Maybe we should give them another chance. Maybe bring them back. Let's have another conversation. You see how we can make a difference. We just have to change the way we're looking at things.
Right. Solomon, you're a seasoned entrepreneur. Tell us the story. You have many success stories, but tell us one of your stories that you made an impact in a client's life. Tell us that story.
Yeah, one of the things that what I've been doing, because I came from an agency background, I started to coach agency owners, just sell, right? Like, how do you become an agency? And I wrote a book called 0 to 10K, meaning I'll help you get to $10,000 a month, which is pretty decent income in today's standards. Even if it's not that big for some entrepreneurs, it's pretty good. My mission's always been, I give them an award when they hit 10K. I give them an award when they hit 30K. I give them an award when they get 50K. There's countless examples, but I'll give you a specific one. I wouldn't name the person. Again, they might have been in the working world for decades, right? Like, this person's like, they're professional, they work. However, they wanted to branch off on their own, and they didn't know what the vehicle is. So the vehicle is, what kind of business are you going to get into? And obviously, with my background, they discovered who I am and what I did. We helped them set up a complete brand new LLC, zero revenue. And that means you didn't come from a marketing background, didn't know ABC about marketing. You're just like trusting that, hey, this is going to work. They get into the program. They bought our product and service. They implemented it, right? The most important key, probably you say that in this podcast, I would hope. Everybody's talking about things like, can you implement it? They implemented it. They followed through on it step by step. I do personal calls. Like, I do anything I can to help somebody get the result that they're looking for in their life. But when you see somebody doing 20 and 30K in monthly recurring revenue, you feel good. Like, you helped that person make way more money. Does that make sense? And they could make 300K and they don't need my help. They could just keep going and going and going. It's all them. We helped one individual reach 100K in monthly recurring revenue, still working a corporate job. He was able to quit his job, and his partner quit his job to work on the business. Again, when I meet these people, they're so early in their game. They have a job, right? And they're like, I have this idea. They could even have a website. That doesn't mean they're making any money. I'm being honest. Like, people build websites, zero clients, right? So they have an idea, but they haven't made it to fruition yet. No lead generation systems. They don't know what the product is. They don't know how to price it. They don't know who to give it to get the work done. They don't know anything. They just know, I want to sell and I want to, make more money. But that's just a dream. If you ask me, would you agree, Dr. Fred? That's a dream. Like, oh yeah, you want to make more money. That sounds great. But what are you going to do about it? And so we work on getting them those systems and process, the templates, the proposals, whatever they need to actually go get the customers. There's multiple examples, because again, I have a whole page of different stories I can go through one by one, but my job is transformation. It's not information. Information is great, right? Like, we all read books and everything. Information is fantastic. I buy all kinds of information, right? Newspaper onwards, Apple News Plus, whatever, right? Information's everywhere. How do you get transformation?
I want you to have a monologue, Solomon. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've impacted your life so much. Who is that person? And what are you saying to that person?
Wow, this is deep. First, I'm just going to do, my mom. Her name is Annie Timothy. And what I would tell her is how much she believed in me, and she didn't dictate what I should do with my life, which, like I said, I think as parents, I'm a parent too. We dictate our lives. So I would thank my mom, say, Mom, thank you for not telling me what to do and how to do it. She supported me completely and say, go do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, how to do it. That freedom literally liberated me from any obligation that I would feel, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I have to be a doctor, I have to do this, or my parents want me to go to the Navy, right? Like, no. They didn't ask me to do anything. It's not quite the monologue, Dr. Francis, but that would be, and I've never been asked that, but I'll work on that for next time.
No, that was beautiful. It was authentic. It came from the heart. And so I thank you for that. As a leader, what is the best decision you have made?
Yeah. First of all, I told this to our team this morning, like, I'm so excited about what we're doing with the studio. The team that God just blessed me with, they're just A++. Like, there's A and there's A+. And these guys go the extra 20% of A players that wouldn't even do that. And I think the best thing I've done is I put those people around me in all aspects of my life. From this podcast being scheduled, Dr. Francis, you see that? Like, I can't do any of this on my own. And, we had a client come in yesterday, and he called me the dancing monkey. And I said, I didn't do a studio. I didn't build any of this. I just show up and I make some video and I walk away, and all this stuff goes on Facebook ads and YouTube ads. Like, I don't know any of that. I don't know what I told this to another gentleman. We were onboarding a client. I said, hey, I can talk about strategy all day, but you're going to run the Facebook ads. Like, that's you. That's your gift. That's your superpower. So having that kind of team, I think you and I will be liberated from the obligation of doing this and basically chore work, checking emails. And does that make sense? Like we're inundated with noisy things. It's like our phones beeping all the time. I'm talking about the entrepreneur that's listening, watching right now. They just have so much work, but none of them actually is moving them forward. Does that make sense? Meaning they're not closing another deal as a result of checking your email 150 times a day. So we should be working smarter, get somebody else to check the email and invest your time in doing the thing. So I keep delegating as much as I can. And I like a very generic leadership tip, but it's the right people and delegate as much as you can. And there was a time in my life where I would interview 1 to 2 person every day of my life. Didn't mean I hired them, but I can never hire them if I never talk to them. And now I'm going back to that. There was a time I didn't need to hire a lot more people because I was good, but I'm growing again. So I'm like, I'm talking to 2 to 3 people, and that's what I had to do. I'm going back to that because again, if I don't like that person, I can't really work with them, right? So they book like 15-minute meetings with me, and I just talk. I give them some tips, and then I would hire them if they're good, and just keep going. And my team has to figure out how to integrate that person into the company, but I like them. I'm hiring them. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I think I got somebody good here. Let's figure out how they can help us solve the problem and me to have some more time that I can invest into something like this.
Solomon, you dropped a lot of value bombs in that last statement you made. So you have to delegate in order to elevate, in order to grow and scale. It takes us to raising capital, cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of emerging businesses, it's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of cash flow. So how did you raise the capital to be able to hire and grow and scale?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have my perspective on it because I help people raise money, but I never raised any for myself. Does that make sense? And I've coached startup entrepreneurs in Chicago. I was at 1871, the largest co-working and incubator that you'll find in all of America. And I was a mentor there, mentoring these guys that are trying to raise 100,000, 200,000. And the reason why I never raised any money myself is because I've worked with companies that have these investors, and I see the amount of pressure, again, they put on the business owner or the leader, and it's often more danger than good, if that makes sense. Now, there's a lot of good happens in Silicon Valley and venture capital field and just investing, but there's a lot of other things that we don't necessarily see per se, right? Like when it came to our business, and I even built a software, which nobody goes and builds software without raising funds. Nobody, because it's 100% failure rate, right? Like you cannot do it. But we did it, and we did it completely bootstrapped. And again, we made our customers the investor. We took their investment in their business, we 10x'd it, and they would pay us more. We use that money to grow. It means that you and I, as the entrepreneur, we may have to take a smaller paycheck because we decide to invest that money back into the business rather than borrowing it from a bank and paying 10% or whatever it is, borrowing for private investors, right? Or going in and trying to get money. So I used our customers, their investment to the business. We worked our butts off, and whatever that profit is, we reinvest it, and we reinvest and reinvest. Sometimes as much as 90% of our profit went right back into the business.
Advice you wish you had followed?
I follow a lot of advice and I only not follow advice when I feel like this doesn't go with my core. Does that make sense? Like this doesn't settle well, but taking more risks is probably the one piece of like advice I can give somebody else today, right? I took a lot of risks and I played a lot of bets that were safe. Those safe bets. We'll win. That's an easy one. Like you're at Formula One this week. So like, that's an easy one. Just go around 100 times and you're going to win. There's a lot of them where they want to do some tricky stuff. Does that make sense? Stuff that's never done before. And you feel like you could win. I was sometimes playing safe for the sake of the team and sake of the company and didn't want to disrupt. And so today I break off into small companies to take these risks so I don't ever mess up the ship. Being completely honest, there's multiple LLCs I create in a year so I could risk it and close it down for whatever reason if it didn't work. But I'm just not going to not take the risk. If I feel like it's on my heart, right? Like something's telling me to try it. I'm trying it, and I go home and report to the wife, hey, that idea did work, by the way. I wasn't sure about it, but it worked, just so you know, not that she cares. But does that make sense? Like deep in your heart, you want to do that, but again, it doesn't fit well. So if you're a product or a business owner and you're trying to create a new product, but you don't think anybody's going to buy it, you don't want to mess up by taking this idea and messing up, right, your current business model. You try it on the side, get its own team, get its own resource, put an extra hour on the Saturday or Sunday to make that dream a reality and see if it works. If it works, you bring it together with your other business. But if it doesn't, you have nothing to worry about because the team never even knew that you were doing this, right? This is your experiment. And we as entrepreneurs, we got to experiment way more than we think. Even Steve Jobs, like his last interviews, he would talk about, we're the biggest startup in the world. What? Apple being a startup? They're the biggest, like they have the highest market cap. How can they be a startup? Well, that's why they're the biggest company, because they're the biggest startup. Steve Jobs' words himself. So I want to be that. And that's what gets me excited, is the tinkering with things that, right? Like that, I don't know, could work. And they would have never built Tesla, by the way, if they didn't tinker with batteries.
And speaking of risk and rewards, and we know that as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of ebb and flows. Share one of your stories regarding a risk that you've taken, and how did you recover from that risk? What was the outcome? What was the lesson?
Yeah, 100%. And we go into this business knowing there's going to be ebbs and flows, right? That everybody should know that. We probably, for some businesses, this is shrinking time, right? Like some other businesses, this is growth time. But it's the same time for both people, but some are flourishing, sounds like it's good. The economy, I have folks in mortgage, they're switching to agency business. They're like, I'm not selling any mortgage. And I was making $300,000 last year and I'm not going to make any money, right? The way it's looking, it's not looking good. I'm going to shift gear and go into something else. So one of the things, again, we did is built the software. We built the software because for ourselves to give our clients the reports that they need, there was nothing in the marketplace that it would kind of, right? It would just hodgepodge a bunch of tools. Today, it's a different environment. And that was a big capital investment for our company. Well, whatever money we made, it was still not enough to go build this thing. And I couldn't even hire a project manager. So I was the project manager. And so we built it. We hired companies and we fired them because some of them didn't do a good job. And we do another one. And eventually we put our own team together. Full-time employees building the software. And that, again, on paper, crazy idea. A CPA would say, why are you wasting your money? Look, your company's not making any money. Why would you do that? But today, I wouldn't be here if it didn't do that. That's what I'm saying. Today, the company ClickX, the t-shirt, is the platform that we built, but it was, again, on the side. We didn't work on the agency's business to change the business model. We built another platform to help the agency do more onboarding, offboarding, automation, things of that nature to make our team more efficient. But again, there was nothing in the marketplace I could have bought that I would be happy. In fact, we canceled the things to take that money to put it towards this project because we were investing thousands of dollars, but it just wasn't what we needed. They wouldn't add the features we needed, and we just couldn't wait anymore. And then we added more and more features. We've never stopped investing into this thing, by the way. It's an ongoing investment to this day. And we added more features to make the team more efficient. That means that we as a team would do more of the things we enjoy, less of the things that we didn't enjoy, and make the software do the things that we didn't enjoy, or we didn't even want a virtual assistant to do it. Does that make sense? So we kept adding those kinds of features. Today it's automatic prospecting. It does email prospecting. We have every single small business's information in our database, of all of it in America, Canada, Australia, UK. All of that is possible because I took a $10,000 a month investment, in 2016 or whatever it was. Does that make sense? Like looking at it, I wish I had $100,000 I could spend on that. Then I would be, maybe wearing a different jacket.
Solomon, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
Yeah, Dr. Francis, you are so good at this. I don't know. I mean, I think the question is, what would you tell your younger self, right? Like, if you knew what you knew now, what would you do? And I think we kind of covered this thing is just trust your gut more, honestly, because you wouldn't be in your gut if God didn't have a purpose, a reason for you to even think that way. And if it looks too big, go towards it, because your family would even tell you not do it, Because not that they don't want you to succeed. It says they don't want you to see you hurt. And I think, like I said, because they just don't want to see you crying, right? But I think if you feel like you want to pursue it, that's kind of what I did. And I do it to this day. And I tell my team to do that. I say, go buy tools, go do anything, try, improve yourself. Because like I said, most of us walk away when it's scary. We don't want to go towards it. Our brains are, you can probably talk to this more, Dr. Francis, right? Flight, right? Freeze. Like we're always taught to stay away from danger, not go towards it. And I don't mean physical danger. I'm not saying any of that. I'm talking about what our mindset is like telling you, oh, I don't think I'm going to succeed. That's our brains. We need to separate the fear. Don't let fear consult you of what you should do with your life. Don't take counsel from the fear, right? Like that is there to protect you. But in our real world, to see success, you have to overcome those fears. Absolutely. Fear of how am I going to pay for this? Overcome it. You will pay for it. How's that?
Talk about marriage, money, and managing a business.
Oh boy. I don't know. I think I'm just blessed to have a partner that, again, supports me. Rarely she says a bad idea. So, there are things I don't even have to tell her because, like I said, it just doesn't make any sense. You're creating issues, right? Like you know that you're doing it. And when you see the success, you both enjoy, if you ask me. There's a lot of things, again, most of my business endeavors, I put her as a co-owner. Nothing I'm doing is me and that's her. No, it's us. Because if it wins, it's great. If it doesn't, right? Just thinking about that for those entrepreneurs that are trying to build businesses. I think it's you have to have a partner that works with you, understands you, is willing to support you. For every Obama, there's a Michelle. Come on now. You can't be Obama. You don't have a Michelle in your life. So, it's Obama shares everything with Michelle, I'm assuming. And the second was money. And I think money is a tool. It is nothing but a tool. And that's why I'm okay risking money when most people have a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. I cannot have the abundance that I want in my life if I'm going to be scarcely investing. And I think it's from the Bible. You invest, you put seeds wherever, right? Like you're not going to reap the harvest that you should be reaping. So I don't want to scarcely invest, $10 here and $100 there. I'm talking about how many thousands can I put in, right? Like 10x that seed. Then guess what do you think is going to happen to your harvest? That's the money part. And again, it's not like I say it so it's going to come true. It's universally true. You go try getting a farm, put a bunch of seeds, water it, like you do it and see what happens next year. There was no earthquake or something like that. Naturally speaking, it will happen. So I can never reap something I didn't sow. Would you agree with that statement? I cannot reap it. So if I want to reap big, I got to sow big. I guess that settles the money part. What was the third one?
It was managing the business, money, and marriage.
Yeah, I think managing the business is probably the hardest than the other two because, again, business is a beast. If you allow it to take over your life, it will take over your life. Does that make sense? It's a beast. So you need to control the beast is what I say. And the way you control the beast is, and I don't see it beast as a bad way, is that people's lives are often controlled by the business. They don't have if I take a big chart, it's like a pie chart. They have a one slice of life and 90% business. Does that make sense? And it's not 90% life and one slice of business. It's the other way around. And we assume that because we are an entrepreneur, that's just how life is. So there's no more life and it's just going to be all business. Sadly, I think we missed the point. I don't think that is not how it should be. And let the entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley work 175 hours a day. That doesn't mean that's healthy or good for you. So my thing is, how do I get teams around me to not have this business take over my life? How do I make it where I'm just making a phone call? I'm just texting somebody and there's people that are checking the inbox. Does that make sense? Because our anxiety will just take over. And I don't want any of that. Seriously, none of that. I want that to be done by somebody else. And once you understand that every single person has some sort of unique ability, a superpower, you find the people that you have the biggest weaknesses and give it to them because that's their strength. Well, you wouldn't be struggling with proposal making when somebody loves making proposals. Get it out of your plate. Give it to them. You were struggling. That's their strength. and your anxiety level went down. For every problem that we have in the business, there's somebody out there that loves doing that thing. And that's all they want to do. They want to wake up and do that thing, even if it's copy and paste. Go find that person and you won't have to deal with that problem in your business, right? Like that's my piece of advice. And I'm not saying I'm a billionaire or anything like that. I just want to live happy, right? Like there's no amount of money, knowing and growing up in a Christian family, no amount of money is going to make anybody happy. I promise you that much. Money can only solve the problems that money can solve. Right?
Speaking of mental, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of mental wellness, how do you maintain your mental wellness and entrepreneurship?
That's by choice. And it's a really great question. And I think it's more relevant today than anything else. I have to stop the negativity from it coming to me. And that's a constant choice. We talk to ourselves a lot. I mean, I'm sure, the audience, they probably don't even know they're talking to themselves, but we're literally, there's a soap opera happening 24 hours a day in our channel, our channel O. We have our own channel in our brain. It's 24 hours a day. It's what happened in the past. Who's going to do this to you? What did that to you? Whatever it is. And we talk to ourselves a lot. We got to look at ourselves. Are we talking to ourselves positively? Are we talking to ourselves negatively? What are you telling yourself? Because if your brain is looking for negative things, it will find negative things. It will only find negative things. If you're looking for positive things, you will only find positive things. Your eyes and your ears are trained to look for the things that your brain's looking for. And if you're telling yourself that I'm not going to get the funding, guess what's going to happen to that funding? It's not coming, right? If you feel like you're not going to get that business, you're not going to get that business. And this is text messages. Like people will send you nonsense. It's my job to just delete it. Don't even look at it. Don't even listen to the voice memo. If it ain't going to serve you, to help you, to fulfill your purpose in life, I don't need it. I'm being completely honest, Doctor. This is, it doesn't matter if it's, your family, right? You don't have to listen to everything everybody tells you because you're on your own path. You're on your mission, right? So if you're not done, what's that thing? If you're not dead, you're not done. Like you got things to do. Go work on those things. I don't even read the news. And I'm not saying anything. It's not a political statement. I don't, because 9 out of times it'll keep me off of my mission of getting the thing I'm supposed to get done today. What is that going to do for me? Is that going to help me make more money? It's not. So who cares that I know who, who had 8 children or who got shot or whatever it is? Like it doesn't do anything for my audience and my people I'm called to serve. So I don't need it. I often find out what happened a week later, if not 2 weeks later. And if I don't find out, it wasn't that important. And it's an active thing. It's not cruise control. It's active driving. It's swerving. You know what I'm saying? It's constant, if you ask me. And I'm still not good at it, but I have to do that to keep my sanity.
Solomon, we've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the rapid round of fun?
Yeah.
What is your favorite comfort food?
Tacos.
Your ideal car?
Today it's electric. Anything that is not running on gas.
The last movie you saw?
One of the Disney Channel's movie with the kids. I don't remember. Encanto. There you go.
You relax doing what?
I run around the community every single morning as much as I can until I get tired. So it's a relief, right? Like you wake up, there's a book, it's called Eat Your Frog in the Morning. I know this is rapid fire, but if you eat your frog in the morning, you don't have anything to worry about. My day is fun. I'm a scientist coming here in the lab, playing with things. But my frog is, I got to work out. I got to stay healthy. I got to eat right. And when I take care of that, the rest it's more fun, right?
I love that. Your favorite singer or rapper?
Yeah, let's put Beyonce for now.
Your favorite dance song?
I don't have a dance song. I'm not a dancer.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Guacamole.
Relax or hit the couch?
Workout. Yeah, I'm not a couch person.
Solomon Thimothy, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, Share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and
Yeah.
to do business with you. And feel free to leave all your social media handles.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'll just give my website. And I think I need to get an easier to read domain name. It's really hard. But as Dr. Francis said, my last name is Timothy. It's spelled with an H. It's THIMOTHY.com. If they just go to their website, it is probably the best resource. And again, I'm here to serve. That's literally it. It's my teaching. That's what I tell my customers to do. I'm not here to sell. And the benefit of that is anybody could ask me questions as it relates to their business. Happily, we'll be making a video to answer your question to help you figure out what it is that you need to figure out. So that's why I actually post on these social media. It is not for any other reasons. It's because, again, I have a mission. I have things to say that I think could help somebody out. I'm going to post it on every social media platform I can with as much resource as I have so that somebody else who needs to hear that will hear that and hopefully change their life.
Thank you, Solomon. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.